Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and all kinds of stuff relevant to difficult relationships. It is my hope that this content will help you cope, heal, and just understand the maze that is a narcissistic relationship. Now, today we are going to take on a topic that relates to yet another way that people talk about narcissism that results in minimizing the narcissism or seeing only a simple slice of it. And that is when people call narcissism or narcissistic behavior anger issues. So let's stop calling it anger issues. This isn't wrong, but it's like calling pizza cheese, or calling a rainbow just red, or an apple pie crust, or a car just calling it a steering wheel. Those things are integral parts of it, but they aren't the whole thing, and those labels miss a lot. These kinds of simplistic spins on narcissism also magnify the dissonance for those affected by these relationships who can then say, yeah, this is a great relationship, but he has anger issues. Rage and anger are core issues in narcissism. They are a manifestation of the shame activation, the feelings of inadequacy popping out, the dysregulation and incapacity to manage in the face of frustration and disappointment. They are the way that narcissistic people maintain control in relationships because people are afraid of the narcissistic rage, and it's a form of tension reduction. The narcissistic person throws a big tantrum, and then they become more relaxed while everyone else is rattled from watching their meltdown. If you've ever been in any kind of narcissistic relationship, you know that rage and anger are key elements of these relationships. But the anger isn't the only issue. Many people in narcissistic relationships obviously become masterful at the eggshell walking ballet that is required to survive. And the better they get, perhaps the longer the periods between the anger outbursts. The eggshell walkers are, in essence, living in a sort of prison, and at least there isn't as much anger, though it's not possible to control some of the other sources that by issues raised at work or an errant tax bill or someone not liking their Instagram. The challenge is when it is simply spun as anger issues. It becomes easy to miss the equally and sometimes even more toxic patterns in narcissistic relationships: the invalidation, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the contempt, the derision. And by framing it as anger issues, it's easy to say that, this is just an anger issue rather than seeing it as part of something more pervasive. Where this becomes a grave error is when therapists frame narcissistic patterns as anger issues. Because if it's just anger issues, then perhaps therapy that focuses on just anger will work. Now, that's not a bad thing to work on the anger, but to work on the anger without addressing the other co-occurring patterns, it really misses the boat. And by and large, anger management programs that do not address the core issues, such as narcissism or shame, don't have holding power. It's like walking through a hurricane with just an umbrella. It's not going to work. To address any antagonistic behavior and create meaningful change, a person has to be willing and able to take ownership, reflect on triggers, be mindful, and recognize the negative impact that this behavior has on others. In the absence of that, it's the equivalent of teaching a dog to not bark when the doorbell rings. People aren't that trainable, and narcissistic people are definitely not that trainable. I have worked with numerous people who have said they have stayed in for decades in relationships with people they were told by couples therapists had anger issues, and in the worst cases would then be told, well, just avoid those trigger topics with them and things will be fine, or just teach the angry person to apologize each time. How many times can a person go through the cycle of rage, I'm sorry, rage, I'm sorry? It's like living with a leaky roof and thinking everything's fine on the sunny days. These attempts to frame narcissistic personality styles in these deconstructed ways is a way that people can talk about bad behavior without really taking on the deeper issues. Anger issues feel like something temporary that can pass or you can fix, that are sporadic and inconvenient. Anger issues is a way of framing it so a person can stay in the relationship and treating it like something just inconvenient, like someone who burps or farts or snores. The other challenge is that it becomes a way for other people to also minimize what is happening to a person in a narcissistic relationship. They may witness the rage and anger and also frame it as, oh, yeah, I can see your partner has anger issues, but it really seems like he's a good dad. Or don't take it so personally. She just has anger issues, which can then often result in a person in a relationship feeling that they're being too harsh if they think that the other person's behavior is far more reaching than just anger issues. Lots of people have anger issues, right? Not sure how it is that we live in a culture where having anger issues is actually acceptable. I know we're living in angry times, and without a larger framework to inform treatment or even to help survivors understand that what they are up against is more than just someone with a short fuse. No more than you would call your local pizza place and say sauce. Is just focusing on this one slice of anger and ignoring the larger picture, helping those who are managing narcissistic abuse, or even those who are trying to help narcissistic clients in therapy. It's really critical that anger issues are understood as one of many patterns in these relationships. But I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people just try to say, oh, stop, Dr. Ramani, narcissism really just seems like some anger issues. Like I said, give it a shot. Call your pizza place tonight. Tell them sauce and hang up and see what shows up at your door. It's not just anger issues. It's a part of it. But I've not really seen a successful turnaround by just doing anger management training. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a constant walking on eggshells. And most of us aren't built to go through the cycle of rage, I'm sorry, rage, I'm sorry. At some point, it takes a toll on you. I hope that addresses that issue for you. For any of you who have ever heard this idea that these are just anger issues, it's a lot more. Thanks again.